Change your printer's FEP in 60 seconds flat. Snake oil or actually possible? Hello and welcome to Miniatures Rundown Review, where I'm reviewing things that are either hobby related or hobby adjacent. In this case, I'm talking about a 3D printer accessory, one from our friends over at Chitu. Well, I say our friends, this review is not at all sponsored. I bought this thing myself because I was interested in it, but Chitu, call me. Don't. So if you're at all like me and you do resin 3D printing, the thing you probably hate the most is changing the FEP on your printer vat. If you're unaware and only hearing about resin printing for the first time, basically resin printing takes place over a vat of resin, on the bottom of which is what's called the FEP, which is a clear plastic sheet that is tensioned correctly and that the light on the bottom of the printer, through the printer screen, shines through to basically flash cook one layer of model at a time. This thing has to be on your bottom of your vat. It has to be tensioned correctly, it has to be scratch-free, dent-free, and cloudiness-free. The moment any of those changes, your printer starts having printer fails, which in the best case wastes your resin, and in the worst case can ruin your screen or drip resin into your internals, which is really bad. So keeping your FEP clean and happy by keeping it changed every now and then is a vital process, and it sucks. As you'll see from this footage here, I'm decent at changing an FEP, I think, and it still takes me a good, 10 to 20 minutes to get it on there. And you can't just pull it off and put one on there because you have to tension it correctly, which means putting on the screws in the right way, in the right order, so it sounds like a certain drum. Back in the old days of printing, and for some folks even now, the way to make sure that your FEP is tensioned correctly is to make it hit a certain frequency. But our friends over at Chitu, or rather Chitu Systems, the folks who make Chitu and many, many other printer accessories for printers from Anycubic to Elegoo, have come out with the Hoopat, which is a resin vat with proprietary FEP film that instead of having to use the screws, all you have to do is line up the pre-built holes in the FEP and clamp it on, thus making a 20-minute process about a 2-minute process, even if you're slow. Sounded really cool, so I got one and I wanted to test it out. So that's this footage here. Let's talk about it. So we've got our vat here, our Chitu Systems Hoopat Quick Release resin vat. Comes with instructions, of course. Only a mild amount of bad grammar in the instructions, and honestly, you probably don't need the instructions, but I guess it's nice to have. The vat itself comes with this nice cover on it, made of plastic. It's not terribly cheap, the cover is, and it advises you keep it, in big letters on the label, because I guess in case you need to move it around, I'll probably keep it, it's handy. The vat itself is made of nice sturdy metal. I feel like I could clonk it around and it wouldn't get ruined. It does come with a single resin pour spout, not the double spout side that you might be used to if you're using the Elegoo Saturn for, which is what I'm using here. This is what I bought this for. This comes for many different models, but it does come with a single spout. The spout is actually deeper on this one, which I like better. And then you have the actual FEP sheet itself. So this is just normal PFA film. It comes with a cover on two sides, and it's got these little holes on it. The little holes are pre-drilled and pre-cut so that you can just put them directly on the vat without having to, cut more holes or do any screwing at all. So for actually taking this thing apart, it's pretty easy. You just unclamp all the sides. Pull the bottom off of the top. And that leaves you this little thing right here. Now, if you're used to normal FEP vats, this is kind of familiar, but this would normally be replaced by something with thin holes for screws. Instead, we just have these little raised bumps here that we're going to put the FEP on. All right, so let's put the FEP on the actual plate. Going to remove both sides of the protective film. Peel it open. Try not to get your fingerprints all over the FEP, of course, just like a normal FEP sheet. And then once you've got them all, you just line up the holes onto the little dots, push it down, and that's it. It did take a little doing, like it wasn't super loose. You can tell there's some tightness to this already, but I didn't have to remove anything or punch anything on there. I did have to kind of press the edges, and that's it. Once you press the edges, you then pull off the other side of the PFA protective film and plop it onto the vat. Now, when you first put it on, it's not tensioned correctly, because why would it be? Because the tensioning happens once you actually put it on there itself. Once you have the bottom piece on, you just clip the little bars over the sides and then clamp it on, and it auto-tensions it for you. It does take some doing to actually get the clamps on. It's not super easy, but it went on like a treat and clamped perfectly. My table's not very stable. But of course, changing it and putting it on are one thing, but those mean absolutely nothing if it doesn't actually print once we put this on here. It needs to work as well as my normal FEP. So let's fill this up and head to the printer. So the vat screws into your printer just like any other vat would. In my case, I'm using an Elegoo Saturn IV Ultra, so I just used the same screws. It fit perfectly, had no issues there. The resin I'm using is this Elegoo ABS-like 3.0 beige, specifically because it was on clearance. And I don't care about the color, as long as it works. And this stuff works. I've used this many times before. And set the printer to printing. Come back 90 or so minutes later, and let's open the case, and, well, it printed pretty perfectly. These are some models for Turnip 28, the squelchy wargame, which you'll be hearing me talk about more later. Mostly I picked these because this was a full print that I had already printed. I didn't want to try something new. I wanted to make sure this was something that I knew could print already. So everything worked correctly. It printed just as well as my normal PFA film does, and I will say, now that I've gone to this vat, I haven't gone back. I've had to change the film once because I dropped my build plate on it, but that's not the fault of the PFA film. That's the fault of me having butterfingers. And it took me, I don't know, a minute to pull it out, put a new one back on. Heck, it took me longer to clean the old film off for proper disposal than it did to put the new film on. And I have had no failures since, except for one that I caused by under-supporting something. That doesn't count. So the question is it worth it? Because if it works, is it worth it? Well, that's kind of hard to decide. This thing cost, at time of recording, $69.99 from Chitu Systems' website. Probably a little cheaper on Amazon, as it often is, but MSRP $70. Is a new resin vat worth $70 for you so you don't ever have to do the long grind work of changing your FEP? I can't decide that for you. Having done it, I'm happy I did, but if that $70 is going to be worth the time savings to you is entirely up to you. It's also worth noting that you have to buy the PFA film from them now. At time of recording, that PFA film, specifically for this vat, is $26.99 for a set of 3, which is not bad, but I believe you can get other PFA film, normal PFA film, for cheaper from other manufacturers or from places like Amazon where everything's cheaper. So you have to pay a little bit more for each of the PFA, but it's easier to change, but it's not any more durable. So if you're messing up other prints, which is what usually causes you to have to change, you're going to go through it at the same rate. In theory, you could buy normal PFA film and poke holes in it equidistantly from all the little nodules and then just put it on top and use it instead of their proprietary film. But I'm going to guess that by the time you've taken the time to poke holes in the right distance, you're probably not going to save any time over just using the screws. So that won't save. And of course, all of this is subject to what happens in the future. I don't think Chitu Systems is in danger of going out of business anytime soon, but if they stop producing this PFA film, or if it went up in price, or if they went out of business, or something else happened, then your fancy $70 resin vat is kind of useless to you now, unless you want to poke little holes in that. So overall, this product does work the way they say it works. It is very nice not to have to spend 20 to 30 minutes changing my PFA film. I'm not going to lie. That's really nice, and I'm kind of hooked on it, so I'll probably be just buying this film in the future. But that's not going to work for everybody, right? Because you might not find that, $70 is a lot of resin, right? $70 is a lot of STLs that you could be buying, a lot of resin you could be buying, and we are kind of in a time of recording. Let's be nice and call it economic uncertainty. We have no idea how much these products are going to change or become available or less available in the next year or so. So whether it's worth it to you is up to you. However, I will say that it gets full marks from me because it works like it's intended to. It works as well as they say it does, and the materials for the vat are durable enough that I don't feel super bad paying that much for a vat. And that's it from me today regarding the Chitu Systems Hoopat X3, 4, or 5 quick release resin vat. Strange name. Maybe it means something in Chinese that I don't know about. If so, I apologize. But hey, it sticks in my brain. I know what it's called, the Hoopat. I like it. Would I recommend it to everybody starting out with a new printer? Probably not. $70 is a pretty good chunk of change, but it was worth it to me. We'll be back next time with more reviews of this or other miniatures adjacent products. Let me know down below if there's anything you want to see, or if you have experience with this yourself, maybe matching or differing from mine. Until next time, see you around.